Welcome to Triumph Women Beating the Odds. This show celebrates the phenomenal milestones of women from every corner of the world. I am Okello Sharon Nagenjwa, the gal from Oyam, and I'm thrilled to guide you through this week's inspiring story. Asha Wandulu is a seasoned policy advisor and founder of Ashalumi Governance Network Limited. With a deep-seated passion for governance and policy development, she is driven by the conviction that effective governance structures and policy frameworks are fundamental in the prosperity and economic development of nations, businesses, and communities. Get ready to witness the how she beat the odds and how she transformed her passion into tangible progress, shaping a better future for all. Oh, hi, Asha.
Hi, Sharon.
So nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Governance, policy, gosh, I love women who are doing amazing things.
Thank you.
Let's go straight to the beginning. Who is Asha?
Well, Asha is a firstborn of 4 beautiful girls from Bale.
Okay.
And she has a very deep-seated passion for policy and governance.
Okay.
Way back from when I was a little girl, I always believed that right from family structure, when family is well organized, there's always going to be prosperity, there's always going to be peace and joy. Yeah. So for me, that really kept driving me, and I kept seeing myself. I'm like, okay, one day I'm gonna come up with something. I'm gonna come up with a company, you know, to push more and amplify my voice in advocating for very good policies across all sectors, so that I see more development and prosperity, firstly from my country, Uganda.
So where did that drive come from?
Well, that drive came from, I remember when I was at university, I developed that drive. Just one day I was seated and I saw a very phenomenal girl, and she was on TV. I think she's called Vanessa. And like I tell you if you've heard of her. And I'm like, oh, okay, she's doing what I would love to do, you know. And so what I did was I decided to go for different capacity building, you know, events. And I attended, just to mention but a few, I participated in a simulation debate of the United Nations Security Council. This was to open myself up, you know, to different, you know, networks and partnerships. And from that, I realized that, okay, I have these ideas, you know, I have this drive, I have this conviction and passion. So the only thing that was remaining was, you know, to come up with, number one, a platform. I felt like when I have a platform, you know, I'll be able to reach out to more people, but also to bring in more, you know, young people like me who have the same passion, young change makers. And then number two was to start. Okay. Now that's where
the
real issue comes in from. I'm like, okay, the starting. And the starting, in that moment, you're asking yourself the how. Okay, now that is like a big elephant in the room at this point. Like, okay, how am I going to do this? You know, then our tips come in, you know. And for me, what I did, at first I'm a girl, you know what, before I do anything, I want to first seek the Lord, you know. It's like, you know what, let me first seek the Lord, you know, to help me here. How do I get, you know? And I did that. And so I woke up one morning, I'm like, you know what, let me start. So I called a few friends of mine, and you know, I shared the idea with them. But before that, I had already shared with a few people, and they didn't get the same drive.
I know that feeling.
That feeling, you know, like you, Sharon, you have your vision here, and you share it with someone, maybe you don't get the same, you know, energy, the same vibe, and sometimes it breaks you, and you're like, maybe I'm not ready for this. But what I learned is, you know, you've got to hold onto that conviction, and you've got to push no matter what. So I pushed, you know.
Before this, what were you doing before? Did you just jump on this straight after campus?
No, not really. Not really. I was doing a lot of capacity building, you know. Yes, I was attending different conferences across the country and also outside in Kenya, and to, you know, to add my voice onto
Under what organization?
Well, it was, I wasn't really particularly under one organization.
Yeah, you just kept identifying them.
Yes, identifying them.
Yes.
Like, but at some point, they also kept identifying me, like from one.
Because of the vocal.
Yes.
You're being vocal and
Yes.
stuff. I always tell young people when I go to these to speak at conferences that no one is going to look for you. You need to make yourself be seen.
Yes.
No one is going to identify you and invite you for a conference. There are lots of conferences that keep happening.
Yes.
So the whole point is identify one and keep showing up.
Yes.
And every time you show up, somebody can see you. And I'm glad that I'm talking to somebody who has used that and it has worked.
Yeah.
Now, many young girls drift away and they're looking for white collar jobs and they're not thinking of putting up something of their own, using their passion and their knowledge to have something on their own. And they're doing some things that are not, that I don't want to mention, but I would term them quite a disgust in our generation. Yes. The drugs in our generation have become, I don't know, like tea every now and then. So how is it that you did not fall to that? What is it in your upbringing that has shaped you to the woman you are today?
Okay. I grew up from a Christian family. You know, my mother always told me, Asha, you've got to always put God first.
Okay.
And you've got to make God your friend,
Yeah.
you know, so that you can hear him speak to you. He's your helper. She always told me, God is your helper. He's your number one helper. And for me, that helped me a lot. And I'm like, okay, there's much more to me. I always told myself that no matter the challenges, the failures, I didn't give in.
What failures are we talking about?
Mostly, especially financial.
Okay.
You know, financial. And you're looking around, you don't have any human resource to start with. Maybe like school, for example, school, I had a challenge with, fees and tuition from home. But then the beauty about it is that throughout that, the Lord helped me. Because I was a very bright student, I was on government scholarship when I entered university. Yeah, so I always had at the back of my mind, I'm coming from a family, I'm the firstborn. My parents are looking at me, so I've got to stay in line.
What level of prosperity are your parents?
Well, I wouldn't say that.
My choice of words, you can see what level.
Low income, best there,
Okay. Yeah. How many kids?
4 girls.
4 girls.
Only girls.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're the first one.
Yeah, and I'm
that's
the
quite
first
a
one.
responsibility.
Very,
sis.
very big responsibility.
Yeah.
They're looking at you and they expect more. Even my siblings look at me like, sister, we expect more from you. Like you are an inspiration to us, and that causes a lot.
What is the biggest challenge that? Sorry for cutting you short.
It's okay.
What is the biggest challenge that you have encountered in growing up that you can point and say, when the fact that I overcome that, I can overcome anything?
Yeah. The biggest challenge I have faced is being a girl, a firstborn who is a girl. I used to think maybe like society has moved away from that, but actually it hasn't, being a girl who is a firstborn. And, they are looking at you like, they don't expect you to make any mistake, you shouldn't make any mistakes. They look at you as a perfect person, you've got to be perfect. So that was challenging to me in a way, mentally speaking. So I was always, worried, looking out with myself. Okay, am I doing the right thing? I became so self-conscious of myself. And at some point, you fear maybe to go out there. You're like, what if I step out there and I make a mistake? And then they're looking at you and they're like, so why did you take on that? Yeah. So for me, how I broke out of that, I always thought to myself, I am much more than I think I am.
Is the organization a business, an NGO?
No, it's a company limited by guarantee, an NGO actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So how are you earning?
Okay, what we do for starters, really, we came out, most of our resources are from within us, they're internal.
Okay.
For now, they're from within us. And what you do is you find like, organizations that are really, loving your work, what you're doing. And like, what? Let's, inject into this, plan that you have so that it can move. So that is how we are managing.
So you are the business?
Yes.
The NGO is a company and you are the business. And so that is how you have to take it, because then it's the companies that are funding your brain, not a company that you have registered. So So many young people are falling into lots of different businesses, but then people have different strengths. And you're a young person out there, just straight out of campus, and you have a particular strength. Say you know how to push for policy changes. You know how to advocate or for certain issues in society that do not align with what you feel should be. So that is also that's another strength that you can use to make a living. Of course, those that are very good at business are selling shoes and clothes and all that. But then you see, look at yourself, sit down and ask yourself, what is it that I do best? Am I better in a coffee shop? Am I better selling shoes and clothes? Am I better being an employee and working for somebody, or am I better at advocating? So all these things, there's nothing that is bigger or better than the other. For as long as you are good at what you are doing, you will earn from it. And we'll be right back after this break. So welcome back from that short break. I am still Okello Sharon Nagenjwa, the girl from Oyam. And right here with me is Asha, who is a young advocate, advocating for policy changes, for good governance. And just before we left off, I was advising young people not to just look at the bears, the ones that are the common kind of businesses, say the companies. You as well can start your own NGO as a young person and then sell people the idea of what you are thinking about, the changes that you want to make, and there'll be people that are willing to support that. So jump on the wagon and let's get more inspiration from Asha. So Asha, now we're discussing the company.
Yeah.
Here you are registering the company. What was your plan?
Well, my plan was first of all to register the company and of course let people know about the company.
Yeah.
Its vision, its mission, its objective, and bring more people on board. Yeah, and also our end goal was to foster a very strong community of young people, to inspire policy and also ensure that the effective governance structures, firstly in Uganda, then spread throughout East Africa, and across the world.
So there is a sort of like misconception among people that you just wake up in the morning, you start a company, then you will get funders, and they have no idea there's a dry spell.
True. Yeah, true.
How do you deal with that dry spell?
Okay, for me, how I deal with the dry spell, like I always say, I don't know whether it's my motto or what, but I never give in to any negativity or failure.
Let me be blunt.
Yes.
There is a moment you don't have money when it comes to NGO world, because when the project of 4 months is done, it is done, and you have to be waiting for other funding. How do you deal with that?
Well, like how you deal with that, firstly, you have to believe that project, before you start a project, before it comes to an end, you've got to have a plan. You don't just wait for it to first end and you're like, okay, now what next? What should we do? You're supposed to have like a fast forward thinking strategy. Like, okay, by the time I finish this plan, I must have another person on board, So you've got to act smart, but you have another donor on board or another organization that is interested on board, so that when it comes to an end, there's something you're rolling out.
For instance, I run a money lending industry company, and that's money that's coming in. I have a microfinance company, and that's money that, much as I'm supporting different women and all, at the end, but this side also, when this side fails, there's some money that is coming from this point to this point. So that is what I'm driving at, because I don't want you to just lean on the NGO side, because there's a time when you're going to hit the rocks, and you will need to come back. So what's your plan to in that direction?
Okay, now for me, because what has been happening is that just like outside the company, I'm very good at drafting, concepts. I'm very good at drafting frameworks and all that.
Yeah.
So people around me know that so much. And even I also, even if I'm selling the company and all, but I'm also selling myself, you get. So usually what organization reach out beyond the company and all, like, you know what, Asha, we want you to draft this concept for us. We want you to draft this framework for us. You know, want to give us your ideas, you know, and they're paying you. Then number two is you came up with something like speaking roles, whereby you sell yourself out as a speaker, you know, and they're going to pay you because you're coming to speak, you're coming to like inspire, like capacity building. So what we're doing is like want to roll out to different schools, you know, and meet different young people, you know, to teach them, you know, to inspire them as well. Yeah. But beyond that, I'm also like very good. I did a course in development economics. Yeah. So I'm really good at finances, you know, handling finances and all. And as right now, I'm actually working as a cashier, not full time, but I'm working as a cashier.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you also want to think about, now this is more of like, is you're speaking to an, I know I'm not old like that, but I've got some knowledge. Also looking at after Asha, outside Asha, is there something that when Asha is sick at home, that thing can keep going? You see, is there something Asha is selling that when she's home sleeping and sick, there's something that at least is going on? You understand? For instance, if you have like a cosmetic shop or a cosmetic making company, or you make crafts, or you have a farm, the farm will continue going even when you're in your sick bed. Now, you are the business. That means everything surrounding income generation is dependent on your well-being. How about if you are not well?
Oh, okay. That's a very good question. Now that takes me back, fast forward, in Form 6 vacation, my mother, and now I understand why she pushed me to do that. She told me, you know what, Asha, I'm going to pay for you. You need to go and do a course in baking. Because I've always loved, you know, to bake at home, but I didn't have a skill. So I was like, you know what, you go and learn, you know, how to bake. So I went and learned how to bake, you know. So for me, I was also in plan beyond the company, beyond Asha, to set up my own confectionery. And actually I have a sister, she's like a cousin. We came up with something called A&L. Asha, and she's called Lisa, so it's like A&L pastries. It's a confectionery, so we are pushing it out, you know, to, you know, also to like a side business, so that whenever maybe I'm not able to, it's selling, you know, to employ more people, you know, to push it and all that.
That's the direction. That's the direction I'm talking about. Because most of the times we want to believe that we are here for good. We do not want to believe that there is a moment of death. We don't want to believe that there is a moment of grave illness, that a catastrophe can hit and you have nowhere to go. And that side gig will save you, like no man's business. You see, COVID times have really taught us that anything can happen before you know it. And we say, besides, what we have is just today. We tell people that today is what we have. Yesterday has already passed. Tomorrow is for God. He is the one that knows what happens tomorrow. So we don't stress ourselves with that. But what we can do today, and I'm glad that you're a young person and you're thinking in this direction. And I'm hoping that very many young people are learning and hearing from you. So just give me one message for the people out there, just to guide those who are listening to you right now.
Okay, one thing, you've got to, you know, believe in yourself, believe in who you are. Don't depend on the outside, on the people's opinions about who you are. Who you are has been birthed on the inside of you. So you've got to just take off some time, you know, start following those instincts, you know, from your inner man, and pursue whatever dream you have, no matter.
Asha, first pause. You know, I love being realistic. This inner man here has so many things. this inner man thinks about so many things. That when you say, who am I?
Yes.
This inner man can tell you 1,000 things.
Yes.
So for you as a person, how do you pinpoint the one thing?
Perfect. Yeah, I've been there. I can relate. But for me, how I can pinpoint that one thing is it just makes your heart glad. There's that rest in the inside of you. I don't know how to explain it, but you just feel this is right, you know. This gives me joy. Whenever you think about it, you're looking forward to doing it. You're like, you know what? Okay, I've got to do this. Now that one thing, you know, you realize that, okay, I need to, you know, push this one thing. And of course, many other things will come around. But no matter the challenges, never give in to failure. I always tell my friends, the day you really, really fail is after you give in, not after the failure or the challenge or the setback has come. That's not the point where you really fail. The point where you really fail is to accepting it and to accept that, you know what, or to sit back and lay back, and maybe you're waiting for something to just happen. You know, things don't just happen. You've got to start to do them so that they can happen and keep rolling out.
And of course, you cannot fail until you have done something. And the same goes for you will not win until you have actually done something. So it's both ways. So choose your hardship. Is your hardship the doing? Is your hardship the not doing? And I would say, please let the hardship be the doing, so that when you finally win, or it is the sweetest thing that you would ever experience, there is no win that is better and sweeter than a win that is celebrated after numerous failures. My name is Okello Sharon Nagenjwa, the girl from Wayam. Continue to follow us on our socials as we take the conversation there at Girl from Wayam and at Triumph Women UJ. Until next time, ciao.